But it looks to be what our last chance to save Social Security to prevent cuts that are going to be happening here in a few years in the next president's administration. It's no longer a decision of whether they're going to be cuts. It's how much is going to be cut from your Social Security check, everybody's Social Security check. And so we're going to talk about that today. My name is Ed Weir. I ran the third busiest Social Security office in the country. And now my semi-retirement, my new mission in life is to make sure y'all get everything you're entitled to from all things Social Security, retirement, disability, Medicare, Medicaid, survivor benefits, all the rest of it. This is also a live Q&A. So if you have any questions, my number one job right now immediately is to make sure you're making the right decisions. If you make the wrong decision, you just might get incorrect benefits for the rest of your life. So make sure you join my live Q&A and I'll be able to answer any and all of your questions. So let's get right into it. And I did a video on the new administration and some of the policies and proposals and all the rest of it, and got quite a few comments. So I wanted to talk about that. This is kind of an important point in American history, since we've had Social Security since 1935. And we'll talk about what the future is with this current administration. So I know there's a lot of people out there that are saying, okay, this Ed guy, he's a Trump guy, he's a MAGA guy, he's a liberal, or he's a conservative, he's a communist, he's a socialist, he's a fascist, or whatever the case may be. The video I did, everybody has called me everything. And I was talking to my son about this, and I'm like, that's great. They don't know my personal opinions. That's exactly how I want to keep it. As my personal opinions have no relevance whatsoever. My job is to make sure y'all get everything you're entitled to. I was going to do this video regardless of who won. So if Harris had won, we would be here talking about our last hope to save Social Security, and we'd be talking about Harris. So it just so happens that President Trump, or President-elect Trump, won. So we're here talking about what's going to happen with the next administration. And so this is trying to stay immediately, kind of neutral as possible. I got to say, as a former Marine Corps sergeant, some of the personal attacks kind of amateur. I'm going to have to give a class one day on how to attack someone verbally and really, beat them down. I've a lot of good training by an old Marine Corps drill instructor. So anyway, keep them coming. Doesn't affect me whatsoever. All right, so we're going to talk about 6 indisputable facts. Whether you agree or disagree, make sure you comment below. But I believe you cannot argue that these facts are reality. We've got 6 facts. The number one fact about the future of Social Security and whether there's going to be cuts or not is we did this to ourselves. We waited to essentially the last minute. It's not Trump's fault. It's not Biden's fault. It's not Harris's fault. It's pretty much all the presidents within the last 20 or 30 years, all the House of Representatives, all the senators. And because this is a representative democracy, or theoretically it's supposed to be so, it's our fault for not poking our politicians with a sharp stick and say, hey, in a couple of decades or a decade or a few years, we're going to get cuts in our Social Security. We can't suffer cuts from Social Security. We're depending on that. So let's come up with a solution. And we essentially waited till pretty much the very last minute. Well, we don't know whether we're going to do anything. So whether the current administration is going to do anything. But the fact is, we waited way, way too long to come up with a really, really good solution. Now the solutions are becoming very slim and worse every day. So we really need to take action. So that's fact number 2. Fact number 2 is the trust fund will be depleted. I'll put a link to the Social Security trustees report in the description below, but you will see the trust fund is going to be depleted. I'm going to talk about the trust fund tomorrow. I read all the comments, and a lot of people don't understand what the trust fund. It's stolen. It was given to Ukraine. It was given to illegals. It was whatever the case may be. That's not correct. I'll talk about the trust fund in and itself tomorrow. I'll do another video tomorrow specifically about the trust fund. But as of right now, today, the Social Security trustees report says, in this year's trustees report, it says the trust fund will be depleted in 2033. Some would argue, based on current proposals going out there, that it might be depleted in 2031. So basically, the next president. So nothing is going to happen with Social Security. There's no cuts right now for Social Security. Well, there are, but we'll talk about those in a bit. There are not going to be any across the board cuts for Social Security this 4 years, this term, because we still have money in the trust fund. So any cuts that will happen the next time around, because how Social Security works is you pay it from current workers. So we have X amount coming from current workers. And right now there's probably about 4 or 5% shortage. So we're taking the money out of the trust fund. Next year, it'll be maybe 6 or 7% shortage. We'll take that out of the trust fund. In 2033, what will happen is the current workers will pay their FICA, and basically we're talking about either, if we do things right, we'll have a 0% cut, and we won't have a cut. If we do things a little bit better, we'll have a 17% cut. If we don't do anything at all right now, we're looking at about a 21% cut across the board. Everybody's Social Security check in, again, whether it's 2031, 2034, changes a little bit every year. It depends what we do this particular this 4 years, or could be a 33% cut in benefits. Basically, current workers in 2031, for instance, will be able to pay, 67% of outlays for those people currently receiving retirement benefits. So because there's no trust fund left, that gap is going to have to be filled, or not, or cuts. So that's basically the situation in fact three. So fact four is, as I mentioned, cuts. The fact four is there's another reality, is that there are benefit cuts happening right now. The Social Security Administration has been underfunded for so long. I know you know this. When you call Social Security, there's a 3-hour wait. If you get in at all, you get an appointment, it's for next month. You call up and you get incorrect information, misinformation, and a lot of people are losing benefits. And that's kind of the reason I came out of retirement. After about a week, I got bored. So here I am, and helping y'all getting your benefits. We've helped get tens of millions of dollars for people, make sure they make the right decision. And that's why I do a live Q&A, because there is exceptions to the exceptions to the exceptions. So I help with Social Security, retirement, survivor benefits, spouse benefits, disability benefits. I used to work for Medicaid. I can help you with that. In terms of signing up for Medicare plans, I've looked for all over the country for a partner. So if you need help with Medicare plans, there's close to 2 million Medicare plans that have been canceled this year. So there's going to be people without Medicare plans. They're going to be fully exposed January 1st if they don't do something. There's millions more that their plans have been downgraded. And this is a part of all of the policies to cut benefits, and cuts, services to people. So if you need help with finding Medicare plans, you have to do that by December 7th. So make sure you reach out to them. For Social Security, retirement, survivor benefits, I've done over 800 videos, and because there's exceptions, the exceptions, join my live Q&A and I'll walk you through any and every other issue that you might have. Fact number 5 is, historically, the reason Social Security has the issues going forward haven't been solved, haven't been addressed, is because politics. It's, as Winston Churchill says, democracy is the worst system in the world, except for all the others. And a lot of times it's just been political BS. It's, well, the president wanted to do this, but the representatives didn't, and they didn't have the votes, and then it was passed the House, but the Senate didn't do it, and then Supreme Court did this. And so there's 4 different institutions there vying to, not do anything. Well, that can no longer be said. So within the next couple of years, because we don't know what is going to happen during the midterm elections in a couple of years for the House of Representatives. Yes, we're in a perpetual election cycle forever for the rest of our lives. So anyway, but we have a 2-year gap. So if the current president actually wants to save Social Security, then this is the time to do it. The famous FDR 100 days. It's time to take bold action. Cutting Social Security benefits, or cutting the taxes, ending taxes on Social Security benefits, doesn't really address the problem. It helps, it doesn't help the 40 or 50% of low income workers that depend on Social Security because they don't pay taxes. It only helps the people that actually do pay taxes that have other income. So it really hurts kind of the lower income people that are just depending on Social Security. And those taxes are a revenue stream to pay current workers. So if those taxes, okay, me personally, I don't believe there should be taxes on Social Security benefits. That was a bad idea that started in the 1980s. So if they get rid of that, that's no big problem. But the problem is that so okay, I threw my opinion in there. So my opinion and $8 will get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks. Anyway, so we used to say in the Marine Corps, if I wanted your opinion, I'd give it to you, right? I'd beat it out of you. Anyway, so if those taxes are cut, then that's billions of dollars not going in there. So that's going to reduce, so that's going to increase cuts in the future and reduce the solvency of the trust fund. And it might, become empty sooner. So, but there's no more excuses, no more political excuses about, well, I tried, but it was the House this or was the Senate that, and I tried my best. No, there are no excuses anymore. This is a unique time that all of them all belong to one particular party. So this is the time to act. That's why it's another crucial time. It's a crucial time in terms of, we're getting close to the cuts, and it's a crucial time for the next 2 years that everything is aligned. The planets are aligned, either good or bad, however you want to put it politically. And the people out there that, um, the people out there that, there's people that, love Trump and, he can walk on water, he can do no wrong. And there's people out there not so much, that he's just a devil incarnate, he smells of sulfur, whatever the guy. It's time to put all that stuff away. The election is over. Now it's time to reach across the aisle. I know how difficult it is for some, but your Social Security benefits depend on it. Your parents, your uncles, your aunts, your grandchildren, your children. Now it's time to put away all of that and just let's come up with a proposal, policies, and enact them that actually save it. Because fact number 6 is none of these people are going to do anything unless we push them to do it. We all know that a lot of these politicians, Republican and Democrat, are beholden to special interests in Wall Street, and Wall Street has been chomping at the bit to get a hold of the trillions of dollars coming in every year from Social Security. They want to privatize it. You might agree with privatization, whatever the case may be. I saw what happened in 2008 when I was taking claims at Social Security, and people were wiped out, the 401ks and all the rest of it. So if you want privatization, then, whatever. But most people that I've talked to through these live Q&As that have left comments, they want Social Security to stay around and they don't want cuts. And that's not going to happen unless we reach out to our politicians, both sides, your congressional representatives. You have 2 senators from your state. You have 1 congressional House of Representative in your particular district. Look it up, reach out to them and say, hey, what are you doing to make sure my benefit is not cut? My father's, my grandfather's, my grandmother's, my uncles, my aunts. What are you going to do to make sure their benefits are not cut 17, 21, 33% in the next few years? Call them, write them, visit their office, reach out to the president, contact the White House, your newspaper, everyone. Share this channel, share this video. I'm going to continue to follow on this. My 2 missions are to make sure your current benefits are correct and to make sure they're going to stay here in the future. And once everybody is correct and Social Security starts doing their job a little bit better, then I'll go back into retirement and y'all will never see me again. But anyway, all right. So there are 6 facts. If you disagree with any of those, if you have any other solutions, any other ideas, make sure you put them down there in the chat. And I did that in 14 minutes. And now let's get to my number 1 priority is making sure y'all are getting the benefits you're entitled to. All right, so let's see here. Linda, husband Medicare card says 1948, married 20 years. Do I still be able to switch my check to his if he passes before me? Or did he retire a month too soon? The Medicare card, not sure what the Medicare card has. Yeah. So basically, you're talking about survivor benefits. Survivor benefits, you're eligible for survivor benefits starting at 60 years old, unless you're disabled. If you're disabled, you can file for what's called disabled widows benefits from 50 to 59 years old. But if you're not disabled, then you can start survivor benefits at 60 years old. And survivor benefits is unlike regular spouse benefits. With regular spouse benefits, you have to file for benefits on your own record. That law was changed back in 2016. You have to file for benefits on your own record. And then if your spouse, your current spouse, your divorced spouse, independently entitled divorced spouse, I'll talk about that. Um, if their benefit has to be twice your amount, your full amount, your primary insurance amount, and then you can get spouse benefits. But in terms of survivor benefits, you don't have to file for benefits on your own record. You can file for benefits as a surviving spouse. Don't touch yours. Let yours increase until your full retirement age or 70 years old or whatever the case may be, and then jump over to your own benefits on your own record. All right, let's see here. Could either Social Security or Medicaid slash Medicare be cut for current recipients? My mother is a paraplegic sufferer on Medicare, Medicaid, and in nursing home, which takes her Social Security as payment. Nothing is going to happen right now. If people are getting incorrect benefits, people are not taking advantage of programs that they're supposed to. That's why I'm doing these videos, these lives and everything. But in terms of cuts right now, the soonest cuts we're looking at is 2031. And if some of the proposals out there are passed, then 2031, and it looks to be about 33% cut in benefits. And I will put that reference, the Committee for the Fiscal Responsibility. It's kind of a CBO report, a Congressional Budget Office report. I'll put that in the remarks so you can read the details. It's just not me blabbing on, which I'm blabbing on anyway, right? Ed, first off, thank you so much for all your time and knowledge. Are spousal Social Security benefits offset from retired military? No, nope, not at all. There is a House of Representatives bill that just passed the House about an offset for about 3 or 4% of government workers, but these are state, local, city workers that did not pay a majority of their earnings into Social Security. I'm going to talk about that the day after tomorrow. Anytime I talk about those people really don't like me, but hey, I'm looking out for the 97%. But in terms of military, no, doesn't affect your military pay. If you're receiving military pension or a VA disability pension or anything like that, it doesn't affect Social Security benefits. It doesn't affect survivor benefits or spouse benefits or retirement benefits or disability benefits, but it does affect SSI, which is the welfare-based program, supplemental security income. But that's not what you're talking about. You're just talking about regular benefits. So. Bubba in Texas, my wife gets a Texas teacher's pension, and this is one of the 3 or 4% I was talking about. For her survivor's benefits calculated under GPO, which is the government pension offset, which the House of Representatives they're gonna stop that maybe if it goes to the Senate and it's signed through president. So it's basically going to be government politicians giving an early Christmas present to 186 million. It's or 186 billion dollars. Yeah, I disagree with it, but anyway. Under GPO, will that use my SSA as full retirement age or my actual Social Security? I'm not collecting Social Security yet. So for survivor benefits under GPO, if you are receiving a non-covered pension, then you're subject to the windfall elimination provision. If your wife is receiving a non-covered pension, that is a pension based on employment that you did not pay into Social Security, then the government pension offset does apply, and she will be offset 2/3 of that pension will offset whatever survivor benefit she's entitled to. So unless that bill passes, if that bill passes, then that might change. So how much income can one have with SSI and SSDI? I'm 71. So those are two different programs. They're both based, well, you're 71, so you're no longer on SSDI. That's a common mistake people make. SSDI is Social Security Disability Insurance Disability. And once you hit your full retirement age, which for you might have been 65 or 66 or whatever, once you hit your full retirement age, you're no longer on SSDI anymore. You're no longer on disability. You're on regular retirement benefits. And because you're on retirement benefits after your full retirement age, there are no limitations on work. You can make $1 billion a month and still collect your SSDI because it's not SSDI, it's just regular retirement. So No more work limitations once you hit your full retirement age. No more CDRs, those continuing disability reviews, because you're no longer on disability. The SSI part, that's completely different. That's a welfare-based program. So maybe you're receiving, 400 or $500 from SSDI based on your work, and then you're also receiving SSI up to $943. So there are work limitations based on SSI. And your SSI is not disability either. Now it's SSI aged, because you can get SSI, supplemental security income, based on disability or based on being aged, as Social Security calls it, 65 or older. But with SSI, the $943, then pretty much every dollar you make, there is going to be a percentage of that offset. And watch, wait, not that one. I don't have a screenshot. Oh, there it is right here. Watch the one on the bottom. I did a couple of videos on working and receiving disability. The one on the top is SSDI, supplemental security income, and the one on the bottom is SSI, supplemental security income. And it goes into all of the gory details on working and collecting those benefits. So check them out. All right, let's see. So now that the Fairness Act, yeah, it's I don't think it's fair. It's unfair to the other 97% of teachers, firefighters, police officers, government employees but I'll talk about that in a couple of days. How will this affect our expected benefits? They must have 40 credits of paying FICA taxes just like the rest of us to qualify. Yeah, the people that those 3 or 4% of government workers that did not pay into Social Security, they're requesting a benefit that was intended for low income workers. Most don't understand that. When I took claims and I told people about this, they had been going, for decades without getting a clear explanation, and they just thought their benefits were reduced. And once I explained it to them, they go, "Oh, okay. Well, 99% of the people said, oh, nobody's ever explained it like that. I didn't understand that." But yeah, again, I'll do a video on that in a couple of days. So. Husband still working with insurance coverage, filing for Social Security, asking for date insurance ends, not sure what date to use, no set date for retirement. Okay, yes. So you're going to he's going to be filing for Social Security retirement benefits. And in terms of Medicare, if once you sign up for Social Security, you're automatically signed up for Part B if you're 65 and older, or excuse me, Part A, because Part A is, covers the hospitals. That's zero premium. For Part B, there's a premium. Next year, it's $185 a month. But if he has health insurance from current work, his work or your work, it has to be current work. It's not a retirement plan or COBRA or the Affordable Care Act. It has to be through current work. And that employer plan has to have 20 or more employees. Then you don't have to sign up for Part B. You can just sign up for money and get Part A started if you're 65 and older, but you do not have to sign up for Part B. So when he stops working or you stop working and he has health insurance from you, then, so like, let's say he's 75 years old and then he stops working, then he goes ahead and signs up for Part B. And at that time, you have to just provide a couple of documents, a 40B and a 564. I've talked about this. I've got videos on that. And one of those you take to your employer, and the employer fills it out and says, yeah, this person has had health insurance from current work, employer 20 more employees since they were 65, don't penalize them. There's so many people out there that have health insurance from work and are also paying for Part B. And they're just throwing money away every single month. Because if you start your Social Security benefits and then you turn 65, Medicare will automatically send you your card or automatically sign you up. We had some here yesterday that would ask questions about this. They'll automatically sign you up for Part A, Part B. If you have health insurance from work, current work, 20 or more employees, then you just return the card. It'll give you instructions on the packet of how they're doing that particular time, and it'll tell you how to go ahead and cancel Part B and save yourself that money. And then again, once you stop working, then you have to go ahead and sign up. But remember, Part A and Part B, original Medicare, awesome. Part A covers the hospitals, but there's a lot of gaps in there. If you go to hospital, for instance, there's a $1,632 deductible you have to pay, and that might be several times a year. For Part B, the big one is the 20% co-insurance. So if you go to the doctor and get a $100,000 Band-Aid, you have to pay $20,000 of that. So that's why people either get a Medicare supplement plan, which is the ones I recommend. I recommend a Plan N first because I'm cheap, and then a Plan G, very, 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 very close. So either one of those is fine, but I'm cheap, so I like the N. And then if the monthly premium is not in your budget, then a Medicare Advantage plan. But the problem with Medicare Advantage is there's prior authorizations and networks and a lot of hoops you have to jump through and stuff. But unfortunately, a lot of people just can't afford the monthly premium on a Medicare supplement, so they get a Medicare Advantage. It just takes a little bit more work to keep up on that, and this is the time to keep up on that because of all those plans being canceled and downgraded and switched and all this other kind of stuff. So you have until December 7th to check to see if you are in the best plan. So reach out to wherever, yeah, there it is there. Reach out to my partners at Chapter there, and they will free review, see if your plan has been canceled, see if your plan has been downgraded to such an extent that you should cancel, and they'll make sure you keep the same doctors, you're saving money on prescriptions, and tell them if you want anything else. Like, oh, I need more dental next year, I need gym membership, or whatever the case may be, and they'll see what's available in your particular area. They work the entire country. Are they going to do away with spousal benefits? We're going to make sure they don't, right? But that is one of the proposals out there. Is if there's a bunch of proposals out there. One of them is to means test certain benefits, so particularly spouse benefits. So if you're making other money or you've got other investments or something like that, it's, well, you don't need this money, so therefore we're not going to give you spouse benefits. That's one of the proposals. I'm hoping that's not one of the ones they choose. But does a person need to sign up for Medicare every year? It really depends on what we're talking about. You don't have to sign up for Medicare every year. You just go ahead, you sign up for it once, the Medicare Part A, Part B, and once you sign up for Part A and Part B, you're done for the rest of your life in terms of that. If you have a Medicare Advantage, I recommend you review your plan every year because those plans are only good for 12 months. They expire December 31st, like Cinderella, and you get a new plan January 1st. And people say, oh, no, I've had the same plan for 2 or 3 years. No, you haven't. You've had the same card. You might have the same company name, but that company has 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different plans in your area. And you might be, driving around in the old, you're driving around the Corvette, and then January 1st, you go out to your driveway and it turns out you got a 72 Pinto out there. So sorry, Pinto lovers. But if you have a Medicare supplement, let me finish this. If you have a Medicare supplement plan, an N or a G or an F, then you don't. You're good forever, unless you want to check to see if there's a cheaper plan out there. If your plan is getting expensive, you might be able to switch to a cheaper G or a cheaper N. And there's one great thing about people getting canceled. So there's a lot of people getting canceled, close to 2 million people getting their Medicare plans canceled. And if your plan was canceled, then you received a letter in the mail that says, we don't want you as a member anymore. Bye, everybody in your area, because the companies aren't making as much money on your particular area, and the CEO needs a new yacht and whatever. Anyway, but if you've been canceled, at the bottom of the letter, it says you have the right to get a Medicare supplement plan now. So a lot of people are like, oh, Ed, I hope they cancel me. I hope they cancel me because I should have got a Plan N or a Plan G, like you said, but I wanted to save that money and I wanted that gym membership. And now, so if you've been canceled, you have a guaranteed right to get either a Plan F or a Plan G. It's probably going to be a Plan G depending on your age. And remember, if you have a Medicare supplement plan, if you don't want to, try to find a cheaper price, you also have a prescription drug plan, the Medicare Part D. It's all too confusing, right? So that's why I've looked for an organization to help you out, and that's Chapter there. But a Plan D, that's the prescription drugs, and those are really changing for 2025. So make sure you check those out. So illegal immigrants from receiving Social Security or SSI, they don't qualify. Yeah, you cannot receive Social Security benefits, retirement benefits, SSI, or anything like that if you're in the country illegally. I can vouch for that because that's one of the things we check their citizenship. If they're not citizenship, we have to check their green card, and we send the green card to the INS to confirm it is a valid green card. And yeah, so that whole thing, they actually pay billions of dollars. Illegal, undocumented uh, workers in the United States pay billions of dollars into Social Security, about $27 billion every year that's paid into Social Security. Under they're here illegally, working illegally, and the company here in the United States, gets their social security number, and they're supposed to run it to make sure this person is a valid social security number. But a lot of companies in the United States like need the cheap labor, so they kind of don't do the right thing. And so this person is working under a fake social security number and paying into social security, and because they will never get those benefits, it's pretty much a donation. So thank you very much for the donation. I have no dog in the fight. I voted for neither Harris or Trump. This time I was sitting on the sidelines. Made the person. Okay. Let's see. I have a Medicare Part A and Part B, and I have a secondary insurance coming out of my OPM annuity. Should I continue with B if I have secondary insurance? I would check out with OPM. You have federal employee health benefits, and maybe they require you to keep B, or maybe not. I know the post office starting this year, they're requiring people to have Part B. But if you're not required, it's completely your decision. Again, this is for government OPM, federal employee health benefits people. Yeah. 64 on SSI, was SSDI, have 2-year-old daughter. Can she receive benefits? Not from SSI. There are no auxiliary benefits on SSI, supplemental security income. But you're on SS, you're saying you're on SSI, you were on SSDI. Probably what might be on both. As I mentioned, you can get the Social Security disability insurance, and you get a few $100s on that based on your primary insurance amount, and they might have also given you SSI. And if that's the case, you are receiving SSDI. And there are auxiliary children benefits on SSDI. So I would reach out to Social Security and say, "Hey, am I also receiving SSDI?" And they should have your 2-year-old daughter. So maybe, yeah, if you're receiving retirement benefits, disability benefits, SSDI, and you have a child under the age of 18 or that became disabled before the age of 22, they are possibly entitled to benefits on your record. So, what are you talking about? I've already been cut. Ronald Reagan made me work 5 extra years. Another fine. Okay, all right. That's probably, it sounds like it's the under the Greenspan Commission, the windfall elimination provision. Like I said, I'll talk about that more in detail tomorrow. Well, I think I'm doing the trust fund tomorrow, kind of clearing the air about the trust fund, and then the following day I'll do another one on the windfall elimination provision. The early Christmas present looks like our politicians are going to give to 3 or 4% of government workers. You're welcome. Most likely there will be spouse benefits for those who don't have 40 quarters, and survivor benefits and children benefits tied to qualified worker. Yes. So a lot of people miss benefits out there. A sparked, and so is not entitled to benefits on their own record. That doesn't matter. If they were married to someone, they're currently married to someone, or they were married to someone for at least 10 years, or married to someone that was passed away if they were married for 9 months, then that person is entitled to benefits on that person's record. It doesn't matter whether they're entitled to benefits on their own. We didn't fight enough. We have been arguing about it since the 70s. Yes, yes. The Greenspan Commission, did pretty good. They're the ones that set up the trust fund and everything, but they missed a couple of future. They didn't. Their magic ball didn't show exactly what was going to happen in the future. That we were going to have less kids, and that more money would go to the rich. People making over 168,000, they don't pay FICA tax like the rest of us do. They didn't anticipate that much money would go to so few people. So I'm going to be 55 in a few weeks. My child just turned 12. We're on child and care benefits after my husband passed April of 23. I've been a stay-at-home mom since 2016. How will the change affect us? It won't affect you at all. The child is receiving benefits. 75% of the parent's primary insurance amount, you are receiving probably the same exact amount as 75%. If there's no other children, I'm sure you're receiving the 75%. And the only thing that will change is when your child turns 16, then you can get auxiliary child and or surviving child and care benefits up until your child is 16, or unless that child is disabled. If a child has become disabled before the age of 22, then you're entitled to those child and care benefits. But yeah, for the next few years, you are good. Nothing will change. Um, Let's see. We had a private call in October about my filing for retro retirement and survivor. The claims agent will not put the retro date I requested and only apply 1 month back and file for survivor the same day. Okay. Yeah. So I 99.9% of my help is free. I answer questions through this. Chapter help is always free. But in order to pay for phones and computers and all that kind of stuff, I do private appointments. But most of the questions I can answer, free during this live. But if you want one, but this person had a private appointment with me, and we were talking about retroactive benefits, getting back pay. So what you do is, I probably said it when we talked. You just, okay, whatever, go ahead and push the button, adjudicate the claim, and you'll receive a decision letter. And on the decision letter, it'll say at the bottom that it'll talk about your appeal rights, and it'll say within 60 days you have a right to appeal the decision, and that's when you go ahead and do it. You fill out at SSA 561. It's called a request for reconsideration, and you just make your argument that says, yeah, I appreciate you started my benefits, but you should have started them 6 months ago, or when I first contacted you, or you had that protective filing. So definitely, yep, reach out. Wait for that letter. Oh, and there is a big change that came about a couple of days ago, that Social Security is joining the 18th century, well, the 20th century, Luddites a little bit. In They're going to stop sending out most notices in the mail, which was great for. I used to process the mail in my office so other people could adjudicate claims and stuff. So it's very time consuming. But it looks as though they're going to be sending most notices. If you set up a Social Security account, they're going to be setting it up, as an email, and you can go into your account and check out those notices. So I think that's actually a lot better. Stuff gets lost in the mail and you throw it away and all the rest of it. So I turned 62, 3/18/25. When can I apply for Social Security retirement? So you can actually apply for benefits a couple, 3 months before that. You're, um, you have to be 62 the entire month. So you're entitled to benefits starting in April, and your April check will come in May, and it'll come the third Wednesday of the month in May. How do I know that? Is because you were born on the 18th. That's how they do it. If you were born on the first 10 days, you get your check on the second Wednesday. Second 10 days, you get it on the third Wednesday of the month, and so on. So, all right. For each year you delay receiving benefits until full retirement age, in other words, if you collect your Social Security at 62 and get 1,200 per month, what would be the benefit amount 8 years later? Um, yeah, so if you get your benefits at 62, then you're talking about a 30% cut. If you delay your benefits, you get your full benefit amount, and then if you delay benefits, you get 8% every year until the month you hit 70 years old. So next year, so if your primary insurance amount, your benefit at your full retirement age is $1,000, if you wait until 70, your benefit will be $1,240. So let's see, my brother was on SSDI, and after 4 years, Social Security sent a letter saying he owes them 83,000, claiming COVID kept them from sending out normal correspondence. This seems ridiculous. Any thoughts here? Yeah, so it sounds as though the whole COVID and correspondence, it's like, yeah, cry me a river, right? It's like y'all's fault. But unfortunately, so it sounds as though 83,000, perhaps he was working at that time, and because SSDI, you can work. Remember, watch the videos I did for all the gory details, but you can work. There's a trial work period, and after that, there's called the extended period of eligibility. But it looks as though probably work, or they did a medical CDR, a continuing disability review, and determined that he's he's improved. But whatever the case may be, there's an overpayment there that they essentially stopped his benefits. It sounds like if there's an $83,000 overpayment, that sounds like a stop of benefits. So number one is, if you disagree with that, then you file the reconsideration, the SSA 561, and say, no, this is all, incorrect. He did not work. Those are incorrect, or whatever the case may be. And if it turns out that, okay, you lose that battle, then you can ask for a waiver, and that is an SSA 632. So SSA 632, and two things have to be met to get it waived. One, it's not your fault. Sounds like it's not your fault, I guess. Um, and two, your brother does not have the ability to repay it. So those two, you have to jump over those two hurdles. Not your fault, not able to repay it. If both of those things are met, then they can waive it. If not, then they will set him up on a payment plan. And thanks to Anderson Cooper. Hey, Anderson Cooper did an awesome job on 60 Minutes talking about overpayments. See, we can do stuff if we push people enough. And so the ability to get your overpayment waived and get it set up a repayment is a lot easier now than it was before that 60 Minutes expose. So yeah, so those are the procedures. And you know people always, when they get something like that, maybe I should talk to a lawyer. Lawyers, if you pay them $10,000, lawyers will do anything. Sorry, lawyers, but yeah, most lawyers don't take that type of Social Security thing unless you pay them a whole bunch of money ahead of the game. So over 6 million seniors retire each year, but less than 4 million Americans turn 18 each year. Deportations means less FICA taxes too. Yep, that's a fact. Have you ever listened to Trump? He will never leave dictatorship. Okay. Thanks for voting against yourself. Oh, was that towards me? Anyway, no, nobody can still see, my in this context, my political motivation is to make sure we don't get cuts. And not me, I'm not receiving Social Security benefits yet. I'm too young. Yes, I look 80, but anyway. But to make sure we don't get cuts and make sure we don't sell out our children, because that's kind of what happened in the 1980s, in part, is when they raised the retirement age and they said, hey, it's not going to count for you. They never do anything bad for current recipients. Cuts are a different thing. That's going to be mandatory. But in terms of, okay, we're going to avoid cuts by, y'all are going to sell out your children by raising their retirement age to 75 years old or something like that. I kind of agreed with the raising of the retirement age from 65 to 67. That was okay, but to 68, 69, 70, no. My father was a long distance truck driver. He could have never, we wouldn't want a long distance truck driver on the road at 70 years old, right? So, I pray that the new administration doesn't make cuts. I agree. After you turn 62, can you apply for your Social Security, but you will get less than if you wait until your full retirement age? Yep, that is a fact. Anytime you take money from Social Security early, there are a couple exceptions. As everything with Social Security, there's the exceptions. Anytime you take money from Social Security early, it's reduced every month you take it. And it's not, oh, if I take it on my birthday, it's reduced less. And no, any month you take your benefits early, then it's reduced. All right, let's see here. Let me find, I got a lot of people with comments. Let me go through here and see if we can find some money for people. I finally got on the computer and was able to see my benefit amount. Maybe I should take a cut and take it early, as I was considering retiring at 70 and would get more. However, it is cut. Yeah, that's, people ask me all the time, should I take my benefits early? Should I do it at 62 or 65, 67, 70? Nobody knows. The only time I can tell you 100% for sure when you should have taken your benefits is the day you shuffle off your mortal coil and pass on. And then I'm like, oh yeah, based on when you just passed, you should have definitely taken it 62 or 67, or you should have waited till 70. But short of that, you just have to make your best guess effort based on, do you need the money? Is it going to put you in a higher tax bracket? Are you working? How's your health? How's the longevity in your family? Do anybody in your family, your spouse, your children waiting on benefits, waiting for you to file so they can get benefits? So there's a lot of variables. So I would focus on those first. And then, yeah, whether the money is going to be there in the future. I'm kind of a positive, optimistic type of guy. I think, you know, another Winston Churchill quote was that Americans always do the right thing after they've exhausted all other possibilities. So, but we'll see. Yeah, I've not as optimistic as I used to be, but I'm still, yeah, my wife hates my optimism. But anyway, I'm 59 and became disabled this year. My husband was disabled at an early age and has been deceased now for 9 years. I don't qualify for receive survivor benefits because they say my funds are more. Yes. So, in order to collect spouse benefits, survivor benefits, particularly because you're already receiving disability, the survivor benefits have to be more than yours. So, but your benefit amount is more, so you stay on yours. I am confused. There is a 2.5% COLA, but also a cut. Yeah, 2 point that's not a political thing. The COLAs were taken out of, the political, fields back in the early 70s. That's basically the Department of Labor Statistics looks at the numbers, they crunch the numbers and say next year COLA is gonna be this. It was what, 3.2 this year, 8.7 the year before, and that's automatic. But we're possibly still gonna get COLA going on the next 20, 30, 100 years, but um, and also get cuts based on there's no more money to cover their the shortfall. Let's see. Let me get some. Well, one thing good that is supposed to stop when getting Social Security as won't be able to penalize and take from your pension, which was actually stealing money from people. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a couple of days. It's not reducing your benefits. You're just not getting the extra benefit that was intended for low income wage earners. So a lot of people, again, don't, yeah. Increase the FICA cap. That is, in my opinion, I can throw it out there. That's the one thing that I think is going to be the best solution to make sure we don't get cuts in the future and that the benefits are there for our children and grandchildren is increase the FICA cap. But I don't see that happening now. What it is me and 99.9% of y'all out there pay FICA. The FICA includes Social Security, 6.2%. Your employer pays 6.2%, and also Medicare. So you pay FICA on every penny you earn. Every dollar you earn, you pay 6.2, and your employer pays 6.2. Up until this year, $168,600. After your wages or net income from business is over $168,600, you no longer pay Social Security FICA anymore. You pay Medicare, but you don't pay Social Security FICA anymore. And that's the major reason why we're in this predicament is to so much money is going to the top, that great redistribution of wealth to the top. And that's the problem right there. That and obviously demographics, less kids and all that other kind of stuff. So yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen anymore. So that's, yeah. All right, let's see here. Additional, okay, that's additional. I'm not sure. I've got hundreds of comments here. Let me see if I can. Um, Okay, here we go. I have my SSDI exam next week. I'm 55 years old, retired military with 100% VA. I looked up the doctor not getting warm and fuzzy. What are the odds for someone like me getting approved the first try? Yeah, there's no telling. I'm not sure about your disability and stuff. But what you're talking about is a CE, a consultative exam. When you file for disability, they look at your medical records and everything. And if there's some type of question, then they have you see one of the Social Security doctors who takes a look again. So it really depends on your particular situation. Remember the VA, people are disabled from the VA, but the VA has different disability. In my office, I'm being an old Marine Corps sergeant. There was a lot of vets in my office, and a lot of those vets in my office were receiving disability, 10, 20, 30%. But they weren't disabled according to Social Security because they were working. VA, gives you disability for, whatever issues, but the Social Security gives you disability based on your inability to work. So heard of this guy named FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who started Social Security. he was not disabled according to the Social Security program he started because he was able to work. Was he disabled? Yes. Was he disabled for it? Would he be able to get Social Security disability? No, because he was able to work. Stephen Hawking's disabled, but he was working. So he wouldn't be able to get Social Security disability benefits because he was working. I am 62. When do I move from disability to regular Social Security? At your full retirement age. So if you're 62 now, your full retirement age is probably 67. So that's when you do it. But if you're on disability, okay. If you're on disability, there are times that you need to check stuff out. If you're on disability, you need to, when you turn 60 years old, you need to see if you're entitled to any survivor benefits. Were you married to anybody and, married to them for 10 years based on a divorce? Or if you were married to that person when they passed away at least 9 months, you might be entitled to survivor benefits. You can get disability and survivor benefits and spouse benefits. Once you turn 62, you check to see if you're entitled to spouse benefits, ex-spouse, divorce spouse, but current spouse benefits on anybody's record. When you turn 65, that's when you check to see whether you want to switch to a Medicare supplement plan. Most people can't get a Medicare supplement plan when they're under 65, but they can when they turn 65. So check out to see if a Medicare supplement is right for you. Reach out to my people there. And then once you're your full retirement age, let's say 67, that's when you're no longer on disability and you no longer have any work restrictions or anything, and you can do whatever you want. So let's see here. You are personally hopeful that our government will do the right thing and protect Social Security from corrupt politicians who don't seem to care about the people who solely depend on this benefit to live. Yes. The percentage has gone down recently, but yeah. Can you explain how you earn 40 credits in the first place? Yeah, absolutely. So basically, you work and you pay your FICA taxes. You work and you file your taxes, and then the IRS, takes those things and gives it and notifies Social Security that you paid X amount of money, and so the every year, what is it? Next year is going to be about 1,800 or something like that for a quarter of coverage. So if you make, let's say you make $10,000, that's 4 quarters. And you have to do that 10 times for 10 years. It doesn't have to be consistent or anything like that. But that's not how you get a determination of how much your benefits are going to be. Your benefit amount is decided by your high 35 years of earnings. People think it's the 10 years because it's 10 years of quarters. No, Social Security determines your benefit amount by your high 35 years of earnings. They take those high 35 years and they index them for basically a wage indexed inflation type thing. And then they take what's called the average index monthly earnings. So after they index it, they figure, okay, throughout your life, you made an average of $5,000 a month, right? And then they do these bin points where they multiply the first bucket by 90%, 32%, 15%, and that's how they determine your benefit amount. So it's over your high 35 years of earnings. So it's important, it's extremely important to make sure you and everybody, your friends and family and kids and nieces and nephews, go into Social Security, set up an account, and check every year to make sure Social Security has the right numbers. Because if you don't, then that person's going to get an incorrect check. And let me do my little commercial here on Thanksgiving. My son has convinced me that since everybody is going to be together and watching football, and maybe it's a distraction from political fights, I'm going to do like a 1 or 2 or 3 hour live Q&A on Thanksgiving Day. So if you're going to visit grandma and grandpa and uncle and aunt or something like that, and they have Social Security questions, make sure you jump in, and I will answer any questions, and we'll make sure they're getting the right benefits, and or if they're about to file, we'll make sure they don't make a mistake. Let's see here. I get alimony and get marketplace insurance. I will be 65 in March. It makes sense to me to go ahead and file, but okay, let's cut off there. Yes, even if you have marketplace insurance, Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, whatever you want to call it, once you turn 65, you have to sign up for Medicare. And a lot of people say, no, my marketplace insurance is 0 premium. I don't want to lose that. I'm going to just go ahead and keep that. Well, once you're eligible for Medicare, you lost those advanced premium tax credits. So you're going to have to pay a lot of money, and you lost the cost sharing and everything. So once you're eligible for Medicare, you have to go ahead and sign up for Medicare. You can keep, you technically, legally can keep the Affordable Care Act, but you're going to pay, the full boat. You're not going to get any more tax breaks or, the premium tax breaks. They're basically tax breaks. They're just advanced premium tax breaks. So you should be the director of Social Security Administration. Yeah. I mean, I was a kind of entrepreneur before, Marine Corps sergeant. So my office was one of the most efficient offices in the country, the third largest in the country. And that's because my employees, every time I had some stupid idea, they're like, all right, let's try it. And, sometimes it's worked out and sometimes it didn't. The problem is, bureaucrats, sometimes they're too scared to make a decision and, get slapped on the wrist. And I got slapped on the wrist a couple of times, but, 99% of the time it worked out very, very well. So that's, they just have to try new things. Um, since husband retired from the military, we have continuously paid for and used exclusively TRICARE. When 65, how will Medicare and TRICARE Prime interplay? Yeah, when you have TRICARE, they make you sign up for Part A and B. It's one government agency trying to push cost over into another government agency. You know the deal there. But in terms of getting people ask me, okay, I have to go ahead and sign up for Part A and Part B once I'm 65, but do I need a Medicare Advantage or a Medicare Supplement plan? And I would say no. Some people do Medicare Advantage plans, but they're to get the extra gym membership or dental or something like that. But then there's a couple of other bureaucratic hoops you have to jump through. So yeah, you don't necessarily have to, because with Part A and Part B and TRICARE, you're good. So I watched your last video and you mentioned something about collecting on your divorced spouse Social Security. If I'm collecting on mine. Yeah, so you're entitled to divorce spouse benefits. You have to be currently unmarried. You can collect divorce spouse benefits if you were married to that person for 10 years. And here's a couple of cautions out there people make mistakes on. Is number one, they get divorced from someone, and then a divorce decree, it says, you can't get my Social Security benefits. And nice try, doesn't help. It doesn't work. Nice try, lawyer, divorce lawyer. Social Security doesn't care about that. So if it says something about you not getting that person's Social Security benefits on your divorce decree, then, well, now you've got some toilet paper in case you need it, emergency toilet paper, because that means nothing. Social Security doesn't look at that. They look at the names on the divorce decree and the date that was divorced to get the 10 years, and they don't look at anything else. So that's one mistake a lot of people out there. Please share this, like, subscribe, and all that kind of stuff, because I can tell you that I can guarantee there's thousands, tens of thousands of people out there that are struggling to survive, and they're not getting the benefits they're entitled to because it says that on their divorce decree. So please like and subscribe and all that kind of good stuff. Another thing is they think they can't file for benefits because their ex hasn't filed for benefits yet. Incorrect. It's called independently entitled divorced spouse benefits. So you get benefits on your own record. You have to be 62 years old. And if your ex is at least 62 years old, it doesn't matter if they filed for benefits on their own record yet. Their benefit amount just has to be twice than your benefit amount. Regular spouse benefits, criteria. You had to be married to the person for 10 years. And you also had to have to be divorced from that person for 2 years before you can do the independently entitled divorce spouse benefits. So let's see here. Other question. I applied for benefits November 2024. I have 29 years in Social Security and retired teacher with 21. I know about WEP. I understand my pension. Okay, yeah, that's a WEP type thing. A lot of, let's see. Took my pension annuity at 59 and a half, able to roll an IRA. Well, we'll spend plus part-time work going to 70 and housing Section 8. So now to keep my income low enough for that future. Yeah, Section 8 is a welfare-based benefit, means tested. So if you have an IRA, they might hold that against you depending on how much you have at that time. So my husband turned 60 in December and I turned 60 in February. So do I get any more if he's federal government? Yeah, so that really depends on, your PERS pension and all that kind of stuff. What he sets you up is, if he's getting his pension and something happens, there's that 10% you take out every month out of a FERS pension to give 50% of the PERS pension to a survivor benefits. Is it possible to receive spousal benefits if you divorce your first husband and then he died, and then you got married before reach 50, and then your second husband, you're divorced? Yes, that means you're single, you're free. You can get benefit. Yeah, good question. Thank you. I mean, people say I should leave it up there a little bit longer. Okay. So when you go in and file for Social Security benefits, I've done this hundreds of thousands of times. I've taken these claims. So somebody comes in, they want to go ahead and file for retirement benefits. And one of the question is, were you married to anybody for 10 years or longer, or married anybody when they passed? And you say, yeah, I was married to three people for 10 years or longer. And I said, okay, all right, let's go through the list. Number one, do you know the social? No, I don't know the social. Okay, no problem. What's that person's name? What's their date of birth? As close as you know it. Where were they born? Okay, I found the social security number. Okay, here's how much money. Is it over twice years? This one's not over twice years. Okay, let's go on to number two. Number two, look it up. Oh, this one's way over twice years. Number three, oh, no. So it looks like number two is a winner. Let's go ahead and finish your claim on your own record and let you get you some money on your second spouse's record. I'll need your marriage certificate and your divorce decree to prove the 10 years. And there you go. And that's a beautiful thing. So if my wife takes Social Security disability at 65, can she take half or my Social Security when I retire at 67? Or should she not collect disability and wait 2 years? Yeah, whether she collects disability, that's basically your decision on your finances. But if she retires and regular retirement benefits at 65, then her benefits are reduced. But if you file for disability, your benefits are not reduced. So there's that. Medicare doesn't make a difference. I just talked to somebody yesterday and they were thinking about filing for disability or retirement benefits at 62. What should I do? Should I do retirement? Should I do disability? I said both. You file for both and you go ahead and get your retirement benefits started. And that way, because that person needed money coming in while you're waiting for your disability to be approved. And then when your disability is approved, then, you essentially stop your retirement benefits. They replace it. But they were like, well, it doesn't really make a difference in money and stuff like that because of spouse benefits, because of this other thing. And I say, well, okay, take money out of the equation. If you're approved for disability at 62 years old, you get Medicare after being on disability for 2 years. If you just file for straight retirement, you get Medicare at 65 years old. And that person was like, okay, yeah, health insurance is the most important thing. So yeah, I want to go ahead and file for disability. That way you get the Medicare sooner. Um, I don't know why they start Medicare after being on disability for 2 years. If you're on disability, you definitely need health care. So, but yeah, I don't think that's going to change. Can a disabled adult receive Social Security benefits of their parents when one or both parents pass away? Yes, yes, absolutely. So this is called a disabled adult child benefits, a DAC claim. The person has to be disabled before the age of 22, and they're able to get benefits on either parent's record. Um, and as a survivor, they get 75% of that person's full benefit amount. If the parent is still out there alive and kicking, they get 50%. So, all right, we've got tons of questions and a lot of political type stuff, and so I'm trying to avoid the political stuff. My job is to make sure y'all get the money. Oh, Clint, thank you very much for uh, uh, contributing to the cause there. A nice little coffee for the day. I appreciate it. And we are over an hour. I will be back again tomorrow. I'm going to talk about the trust fund, and I'll do that for about 5 or 10 minutes. And then I'll get on to your questions. So if you have any Social Security questions, reach out to your family and friends and say, hey, Grandma, didn't you have a question about this? And then type it in there, and I'll see if I can answer it tomorrow. And the sooner you get your question up there, the better chance you get it answered. Y'all have an awesome day. Please take care of each other. And remember, Thanksgiving Day, it'll be from 3 o'clock West Coast time. I might start a little bit earlier. And then I'll go an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. I'm not going Jerry Lewis style, 24 hours. Yeah. But I'll do it as long